What's up, everybody? So today we're going to be looking at 2.4 multiplication and distributive property. All right, this is going to be a lesson that has a lot of fundamental arithmetic rules that I'm sure you've seen in the past. But so it's another one where we're just kind of making sure everybody's on the same page. So it should be pretty simple, but it's a good refresher. Okay, so yeah, let's go and take a look at the first slide here. So we're looking at multiplication rules. All right, bread and butter of what happens when we multiply two numbers together. All right, first thing is if we ever have opposite signs, one number is positive, one number is negative, or vice versa, we will always get a negative answer. Okay, it's just a little rule to keep in your head. I know some people sometimes have some trouble with this, but when it comes to multiplication, yeah, one of them's negative. That means you will always get a negative answer. Okay. On the other side, if the two numbers have the same signs, both are positive or both are negative, we will always get a positive answer. All right, and you guys know a negative times a negative gives you a positive, and a positive times a positive gives you a positive. Okay, so again, just a little reminder, fundamental rules there. Keep them in mind as we go through this. So let's try some really simple examples on this. All right, so we're going to try out these four problems. Go ahead and copy down these four problems, and we'll do them together, okay? Okay, so super duper easy math here. As you were copying them, you probably were writing the answers. But again, let's just get our fundamentals in order here. All right, so on number one, we have a negative times a negative. Okay, if you have to, flip back, remember, oh, they have the same sign. We know we're going to be getting a positive number here. Okay, negative 2 times negative 7, positive 14. Okay, number two, couldn't be more straightforward. Positive times a positive will also give you a positive, and it looks like 3 times 5, 15. Okay, looking down at 3 and 4, we have opposite signs on actually both of these. So I automatically know I'm getting a negative on both of these. Negative 7 times 3 is a negative 21. And 8 times negative 2 gives me a negative 16. Alrighty, so super duper easy fundamentals right there. That's why I'm going quick. So let's keep moving. I'll give you a second. Go ahead, copy these down, and we'll try them together. Okay, so on number one here, we have three numbers being multiplied together. First thing to know, when you have a bunch of multiplication, you can multiply these numbers in any order you'd like. I can start with 2 times negative 5. I can do 2 times negative 4, negative 5 times negative 4. Whatever order you want to do, completely up to you. Okay, so I'm going to do what comes to mind first. I'm going to multiply my negatives together. Okay, and I'm going to keep this 2 here. So bringing down the 2, I know a negative times a negative is a positive, and negative 5 times negative 4 gives me a positive 20. Okay, now I can multiply these together, and it looks like I'm going to get 40. Okay, and you guys can imagine, if I did another order, 2 times negative 5 would give me negative 10. Negative 10 times negative 4 would still give me a positive 40. So again, the order doesn't matter. Okay, the reason why I say that is if you take a look at number 2, I have a 1/2 in here. We know how to take halves of numbers, especially even numbers, right? It's super easy. So when I go to do this problem, I probably wouldn't multiply negative 1/2 and negative 3 together. Okay, I would probably, my first thing I would think is, oh, I can take a half of negative 4. Okay, it's a negative 1/2, it's a negative 4, so I know I'm going to get a positive, and half of 4 is 2, so I'm going to get a positive 2. Bringing down this negative 3. Now I can multiply these together. I know since one of them is negative, my answer is going to be negative 6. Okay, and just a quick little thing, you can imagine we could have multiplied these two together first, got a positive 12, negative 1/2 times positive 12 still gives us a negative 6. Okay, moving down to numbers 3 and 4, we're getting variables thrown in here. All right, 18 times negative x. You guys know when you multiply numbers times variables, they basically just kind of stick together. Okay, so 18 times x would give me an 18x, right? But this is 18 times negative x, so that negative would just move in front, and we'd write that as negative 18x. On number 4, kind of the same idea. We can multiply our numbers together, and we can multiply our variables together. All right, negative 5, I always start with the numbers. Negative 5 times 2 is going to give us a negative 10. And then I have a t times t, all right, which we'll write as t squared, t to the power of 2. All right, so let's see. All right, I'm gonna have you guys try some practice problems here on your own. So go ahead, and by the way, directions keep repeating. I said before, if they do, you don't need to keep writing the directions over and over. Okay, so go ahead and get down these 4 practice problems. Try them out on your own and see what you got. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to try these out, let's see what you guys got. Okay, super simple at the beginning. Negative times a negative. We know we're getting a positive. 5 times 4, we're getting positive 20 here. Okay, number 2, one of them is negative. I know my answer is going to be negative. If you want to just start with that, you can. And 8 times 3, 24. Okay, moving down to number 3, we have again this 1/2. I would probably not take 1/2 of negative 9, though you could, and then you can multiply that by 4, but you're making it harder than it might need to be. I'm going to take 1/2 of the negative 4, all right? And I know that's going to give me a negative 2. Then bringing down the negative 9, okay, negative times a negative gives me a positive 18. Okay, and number 4 here, easy enough. We have a 5 times negative 3, which we know is going to give us negative 15. X times x gives us x to the power of 2, or x squared. Okay, so yeah, easy stuff. I know. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, from here we're getting into the distributive property. All right, again, something you've probably seen before, but it's good to touch up on it. Distributive property, basically when we have a number or a variable on the outside of the parentheses, we need to remember that that is multiplied by each term in the parentheses. Okay, and by the way, the word term, a term is something separated by a plus or a minus sign. I think we'll get into this more a little bit later. But for example, number 1, inside the parentheses here, y would be a term and positive 3 would be a term. I know that because they're always separated by a plus or a minus sign. Okay, so take a minute, copy these down, and let's do them together. All right, so yeah, number 1 here, we have a 4 on the outside of the parentheses. I know I can distribute that into the parentheses to all of the terms. There's 2 of them. So 4 is going to get multiplied by y. It's also going to get multiplied by 3. Okay, 4 times y, we just stick them together. Let me change the color back. Gives us 4y. And then 4 times positive 3 gives me a positive 12. Okay, real quick, the next thing I might want to look out for is can I actually combine these 2 things? Can I add a 4y and a 12? All right, the answer is no. They're not considered like terms. All right, 4y would only be able to be added to other numbers with y connected to it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, take a look at number 2. Same idea, but we have a variable on the outside. That's okay. We're going to still distribute it, multiply it by all of the terms in the parentheses. N times n is n squared. And n times negative 9, we would flip-flop it and write it as negative 9n. Okay, which, by the way, you might want to, if you multiplied n times negative 9, you wouldn't want to write it as like negative n9. Okay, that's kind of weird. We usually write the number and then the variable when it comes to terms. All right, taking a look at number 3. Okay, same idea. We got a negative thrown in there, but it doesn't really change anything. Still going to distribute. Negative 2 times x is a negative 2x. Negative 2 times 7, negative 14. All right, and again, my brain always goes to this. I think, oh, can I do this math? Can I subtract 14 from negative 2x? And again, no, they are not like terms. I cannot. Okay, last one. We just have a negative on the outside of the parentheses. Just remember, if you ever see a negative kind of just by itself or on the outside of parentheses, technically this is a negative 1. Okay, and if you want to think of it that way, you can, though it's probably just easiest to think of it as a negative. All right, and it's going to apply to both of these terms. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to distribute. If I multiply negative times 2x or apply it to the 2x, I'm going to get a negative 2x. Okay, And if I multiply this negative times the negative 1, again, double negative. Again, I'll think of this as a negative 1 times negative 11. We're getting a positive 11. All right, there it is. All right. So I'm going to have you guys go ahead and try a couple of these on your own. I think just 2 of them. Yeah. So copy these down, try them out real quick, and then we'll go over them. Okay. So yeah, let's go through these real quick. I'm sure you're doing just fine on this, I'm hoping. So we got a 2 on the outside of the parentheses. We'll distribute it. Okay, 2 times x is a 2x. 2 times 3 is positive 6. Not like terms, cannot combine these. We're done. All right, on number 2, we have a negative on the outside. It's going to get applied to both of the terms here. Okay, so applying it to the 4 gives me a negative 4. Applying it to the negative y, double negative, positive y. Okay, and just by the way, say this is a multiple choice test that you were taking, like a standardized test. They might not write the answer like this. They might flip-flop these and put the y first, the positive y first, and then the negative 4 second. These are technically the same thing, just swapping the 2 terms. All right, I would take either one of these, but on a test, you would probably see your answer written like this, just so you know. Okay. All right, so getting to this example, this is us combining like terms. All right, just a big reminder on terms and whatnot. To combine like terms, you can think of it this way. You have to have the same numbers, or not the same numbers. They have to both have numbers and the same variable. Okay. Okay, so to combine a couple terms, if it's got y's, it can only go with other y's. If it has x's, it can only go with other x's. All right, and something let's add to this. By the way, copy this down real quick. Okay, but let's point out how many terms we actually have here. Remember, terms are separated by addition and subtraction symbols. So here's what I noticed. We got one term here, one here, here, and here. Okay, 4 terms. All right, and we want to combine like terms. Well, let's start with the one in the front, 3x. I know my x's can only be combined with other x's. And I see we have this here, negative 6x. Remember, that negative is part of it. Okay, so the first thing I can do is I can do a 3x minus 6x, and I can get a negative 3x. Okay, and careful, that's following the addition and subtraction rules, not the multiplication rules, right? When we combine, we're adding and subtracting things. Okay, one other thing I highly suggest after you combine a couple terms, cross them out. Okay, we've combined these 2, they're done. Okay, especially when these problems get longer, it'll help you kind of clarify or whittle down what you really need to do. Okay, so now you can see we have a negative 4 and a positive 2. We can combine those. I know that negative 4 plus 2 gives me a negative 2. Okay, last thing, when you get to what you think is your final answer, just double check and see. Oh yeah, by the way, let's cross these out. Double check and see, do I have any other like terms I can combine? And no, I cannot combine these 2 things. X's only go with X's, right? So there it is. Okay, so go ahead and try one of these on your own, and we'll see how you do. Go ahead. All right, so a lot like the other one first, let's just kind of point out, we have 4 more terms here. We have this negative 7y, this positive 8, this minus 6y, and this minus 13. Okay, it doesn't really matter what you start with. Normally I start with the variables and then make my way down to these numbers that are by themselves, which by the way would be called constants. So let's see, negative 7y and negative 6y. I know when I'm adding and subtracting, if they have the same symbol, I get a bigger of that negative number, right? So a negative 7 and a negative 6 combine to give me a negative 13y. Okay, cross them out. All right, taking a look at my positive 8 minus 13, I can go ahead and do that subtraction, and it looks like I'm going to be getting a negative 5. Okay, last thing, just make sure that your potential final answer only has, I guess, unlike terms And it looks like, yeah, I cannot combine these. So there we go. And if you'd like, cross those out. That looks nice. Okay. All right. So yeah, that was a quick one today. Hopefully you felt pretty good about that. So yeah, easy lesson, guys. I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye.